On one of the most challenging Sanctum bosses, you're probably the one who doesn't want to be responsible for your group's demise. In this video, you'll learn how not to wipe on Painsmith Raznal and act in sync with your group regardless of whether you're on voice or not. This is a guide well suited for beginners and casual players entering LFR and Normal Sanctum, so if you're a more advanced player, there's more homework to be done. Remembering all these abilities isn't easy, and at the end of the video, I'll let you in on a little secret on how to avoid trying to recall what you need to do during the combat. My name is Ivona from momsden.com, and if we're meeting for the first time, go ahead and press that sub button. I do simple guides for classes, raids, and collectibles you'll enjoy if you're up for some easy in-game wins. You'll also find me live streaming on this channel quite a bit, and I hope to see you around for it. This encounter consists of 2 stages. During the first one, you'll fight the boss directly, and in the second, also known as the intermission, you'll have a bunch of things to dodge instead of actually dealing damage to the boss. I'll go through the stages separately so you get the idea of what you'll be facing during each one. Overall, you'll go through phase 1 3 times and twice through phase 2. When it comes to phase 1, the first ability to consider is the Instruments of Pain. Once you go through the intermission and enter another phase 1, the Instrument of Pain will be different, meaning the spikes that are up from the ground will do so in different patterns. Regardless, whenever a target is hit by the weapon the boss throws at them, they'll receive the Blackened Armor debuff, which makes you vulnerable and deals damage over time as well. This is mostly concerning for tanks, but everyone should be mindful of it, especially healers. The first instrument is the Cruciform Axe. This creates a cross pattern of spikes that you can avoid by standing diagonally from where the main tank gets hit with the weapon. The impact place should be marked before starting the combat so that everyone knows where not to go. The cross can easily be turned into only 2 rows of spikes to avoid, as the tank can simply stand in the corner and inflict 2 spike rows instead of 4 that would normally happen if the tank was in the middle of the raid. Also, the further you are from the point of impact, the less damage you will take, so try not to be in the tank's corner. The spikes will always deal a great amount of damage and stun you regardless of which ability they came from, so pay attention to them and don't get hit. Then we've got the Reverberating Hammer in the second phase 1, happening when the boss is below 70% HP. This one will create a ripple radial effect coming from the point of impact, and it will travel through the platform, getting wider and wider every time. To do this strategy properly and in the easiest possible way, the tank who's hit should also stand in the corner, and that way you'll only be facing 2 moving rows of spikes instead of 4. When the row in front of you gets spiked, you can freely move to that row and avoid the one you were previously on, sending you to your demise. In the third phase 1, which happens when the boss is under 40% HP, the Instrument of Pain changes and turns into Dualblade Scythe. This is kind of a combo between the first and the second instrument, as the pattern will be both cross effect and a ripple effect, and your task will be pretty much the same as before, to avoid the spikes in a similar fashion. The tank should also stand in the corner of the room in order for the whole group to go through the least amount of trouble. From time to time, there will be another thing to avoid, and that's the spiked balls. They'll move in a single direction in 1 row and across the entire platform. They're pretty lethal, but they can also be killed off. What your group should be focusing on is marking a single ball and killing it very quickly so that the whole raid group can safely cross to the other side. I can see how this is going to wreak havoc on the unfortunate LFR groups, so if you're in one of them and you see that it's not going anywhere, try to advocate for marking one of the middle balls and killing it ASAP. If you're doing normal or higher with your group on voice, I guess you'll have a much easier time figuring out what to do, but in any case, good luck. The balls wouldn't be all that bad if there wasn't for Shadowsteel Chains, which mark random players with it and create a circle of chains around them, dealing constant damage to the player. These chains will damage and knock back anyone within 4 yards of them, and that makes going through the wall of balls and rows of spikes especially difficult. The recommendation is for the chained players to stand on the sides of the projected pathway between the balls, and quickly move through the passage as soon as everyone else has already passed through to avoid pushing anyone else into their death. In Phase 2, which happens at the boss's 70% and 40% HP, the boss will disappear from the platform and you will have a different set of obstacles to deal with. The first one is the spikes, which will move along the platform in waves, leaving only one opening for the raid to move through it. The best way to go about this is to go to the back of the room, tilt your camera into bird's eye view, and move to the next opening as soon as the spikes around you retreat. There will also be fire swirlies that you'll need to avoid, which makes the spikes difficult to deal with. In general, it's better to get hit by the spikes than stand in a fire, but try to avoid both of them if you can help it. Regardless of whether you're standing in the swirlies or not, you will be taking fire damage from the lingering flames, which is a stacking dot, so healers be on your guard. And there's nothing else to this encounter on LFR and normal. Sounds simple and straightforward enough, but it will take some practice and remembering those strategies. Fortunately, you don't have to remember, as you can look at them while you're in combat. And the easiest way to do this is by downloading the cheat sheets for your second screen or device, available to all the channel members here on YouTube and Patreon. If you'd like access to all of the Sanctum bosses reminders and overviews, join the channel and get a bunch of other perks along the way. Thanks to everyone supporting the content, as they're the reason why you'll be getting the next Sanctum guide soon, so stay tuned. Good luck and bye bye.